Welcome all of you in SST College of Arts and Commerce. This is SST Edupedia. Today we will learn a topic from TYBMM SEM 6th Contemporary Issues subject, and the topic is Naxalism in India. Our India is facing this problem a lot. So let's learn what is this Naxalism, what are the causes of Naxalism, and what are the effects of Naxalism. See, you can see the map of India on screen, and in red color in India's map, this is the Naxalite affected area. These are the states in which Naxalism is there. Charu Majumdar is the person who started this Naxalism. Majumdar gave sole importance to secret organization and armed training of its members for the purpose of eliminating the class. Majumdar after had gone underground in 1970 and he was nabbed in Calcutta in July 1972. The end of his life came in the jail in some days after his arrest. So let's try to understand about this term Naxalism. Naxalism, an informal name given to a radical, often violent, revolutionary communist groups that were born out of the Sino-Soviet split in Indian Communist movement. Its origin is in Communist Party of India. Naxal, this word comes from Naxalbari village in West Bengal. Initially it was centered in West Bengal, later it spread into Chhattisgarh, Orissa and Andhra Pradesh. And initially it was led by Charu Majumdar, then Kanyu Sanyal and Jangal Santal initiated a violent uprising in 1967. These are the two maps which states about Naxalism or Naxalite activities in India in 2007 and 2013. There are different states who are affected by Naxalism, and those states are Karnataka, Chhattisgarh, Orissa, now it is Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, Jharkhand, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh and West Bengal are the states which are affected by Naxalite activity, and it is also called as Red Corridor. This is the present context of Naxal movement and violence. So today's affected areas are Naxalism with, you can see the map on the screen also, and the states are Andhra Pradesh, Bihar, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Karnataka, Kerala, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Odisha, Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand and West Bengal. These are the most affected states with Naxalite activities. These are the pictures of Naxalites. So who are the Naxalites? Naxalites are common people who want equal social and financial status for all, who work for decentralization of power, who want basic amenities like infrastructure, as well as they want opportunities to grow. The Naxalites say they are fighting oppression and exploitation to create a classless society. The Naxalites operate mostly in the rural and Adivasi areas, often out of the continuous jungles in these regions. They are organized mostly where there is forest cover. Their motto is to show teeth and enlarge upon their ideology, and if possible support landless and poor people. Now let's try to understand origin and cause of Naxalism. Naxalism is originated by a gentleman K. Sanyal, who believed in communist ideology but thought that economic freedom will come when you fight with rich who have amassed wealth. Then Charu Majumdar, inspired by the doctrines of Mao Zedong of China, advocated that Indian peasants and lower class tribals overthrow the government and upper classes by force, for whom he held responsible for their plight. A large number of urban elites were also attracted to the ideology which spreads through Muzumdar's writing, particularly the historic 8 documents which formed the basis of Naxalite ideology. Even as on today, there are several splitter groups operating in various states which we have already seen. Now let's try to understand what is the impact of Naxalism on economic development. There is reduction in per capita GDP growth. The nominal per capita GDP of all affected states, excluding Andhra Pradesh and Maharashtra, is below $1,000. In comparison to this, most of the unaffected states have per capita GDP in excess of $1,000 for the 2009 fiscal year. Then lower tax revenue is the problem. The Naxal runs a parallel government in their areas, preventing the governing agencies to collect taxes. Then there is a problem of higher inflation rates due to Naxalite activities. Then another problem or impact of Naxalism on economic development is lower domestic investment and higher expenditure on defense at the cost of lower expenditure on education and health. Anti-Naxalism policies in Indian context. The time is ripe enough to focus on our internal security situations instead of devoting so much time to other issues. The most challenging task before the government today is the elimination of the Naxal terror network in its entirety. The intelligence network has to be strengthened significantly. The threat is more from these anti-national elements as compared to hostile neighboring countries. It should not be forgotten that there are many social issues that are to be given prior obligation on the part of government, like development of underdeveloped areas, unemployment, then ensuring safety and security for human lives. Then what are the eradication measures to be implemented? Northeastern part of India are mostly tribals with little education. They are easy prey for these Naxal or Maoist elements. People should be taught judiciary, the laws, and the value of public property or national property, which is possible only by educating them. The most important cause may be the poor implementation of the different welfare programs and policies in the needy areas in the country. Kiran Bedi has suggested a four-fold program for controlling Naxal problems, which sounds appealing. She suggested appointment of 80 best selected district magistrate and superintendent of police in most intensely Naxal affected district with 4 times salary, along with establishment of a separate intelligence bureau operating from the area itself. She also suggested opening a regional office of Home Ministry operating from area of conflict itself. Now let's try to understand the government policies. Government has implemented one operation, Naxalism 2009, Operation Green Hunt. Then government initiated with the blessings of Home Minister P. Chidambaram with the objective of cleansing Naxalism from the Indian mainland. The central government has recently decided to allocate meager of rupees 2000 crore per year to per Naxal affected district to develop the socio-economic situation. This is more a social and political problem than a law and order problem. The government has also initiated publicity campaigns in order to garner support from the general public in their efforts to crack down on the Naxals. Then what are the reasons for failure of Naxalite movements? They wanted to encircle the urban centers with organized peasant forces of the villages. The action of eliminating the so-called class enemies in villages was wrong principle of political mobilization by individual murder of select few people whose political class character was never adjusted by their socio-economic conditions and the properties they possessed. Very often only by their political affiliation or by the name and color of the party or parties they directly or indirectly belong to for a long or a short period of time. Recruitment in the Naxalite party was never done on proper judgment and scrutiny of the political characters and behaviors of the recruits. In many cases, dreaded criminals to enroll themselves in the Naxalite party with the objective of getting firearms and to train themselves in the manufacture and use of firearms. Now this Naxalism or Naxalite activities have been given coverage by media. These are the pictures you can see on the screen, in which you can see the media coverage which is given for Naxalism or Naxalite activities. That continual violent activities of these groups have attracted much media attention. There are two major factors which have contributed to the increased coverage of Naxal news. The first one is the number of private media groups has increased in the post-Cold War era due to the adoption of a new liberal market policy by the central government. And the second one is the increased number of media groups has increased competition. Armed insurgencies led by Naxal groups have been given special attention in both print and television media. Another reason for the highlighted coverage of Naxal activity is the sensitive nature of news. Then particularly the satellite media has negatively sensationalized the Naxal's violent activities. Print media, by virtue of its nature, could not attract as much audience attention. According to the media monitoring report, since 2004 to 2007, every year the number of coverage of violent activities by Maoists increased. Then the increased coverage and the arising of Maoist leader interviews gave audiences an image of Robin Hood among their cadres and sympathizers. One positive outcome of the Naxal threat is the more media coverage on the dispossessed and deprived tribal population of our country. Then there are some books written on this Naxal activities, and some movies are there on Naxalism. A movie, 2005 movie called Hazaro Khwaishe Aisi, directed by Sudhir Mishra, was set against the backdrop of the Naxalite movement. In August 2008, Kabir Kaushik's Chamku, starring Bobby Deol and Priyanka Chopra, explored the story of a boy who is brainwashed to take arms against the state. The 1998 film Hazar Chaurasi Ki Maa, based on the novel Hazar Chaurashir Maa by Mahasweta Devi, starring Jaya Bachchan, gives a very sympathetic portrayal of a Naxalbari militant killed by the state. Another Marathi film, Eka Naxalwadacha Janma, The Birth of a Naxal, a novel written by Vilas Balkrishna Manohar. Then what is the conclusion about this discussion? Naxalism is a major threat faced by our country today. It is harming innocent people, and people at fault are roaming around. Fight for right, but if you make wrong your right, then all actions are going to lose their meaning. Naxal are not terrorists because they don't resort to irresponsible acts of terror by planting bombs on streets. Naxal are fighters who fight for their rights. They don't harass the common man and poor. This is the statement by Om Puri. If young minds can be captured by teaching of Naxalism, why can't the same minds be captured and changed through education? This is the question. So Naxalism can be eradicated from India. This is all about Naxalism. I hope you understood the topic. Thank you very much for watching.